you want to build a business and to go abroad, and perhaps you want to be a VA or some other type of online service provider, but you don't know where to start and it's looking bleak. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts of actually having successful online business on this episode of Flourish the Foreign on Instagram Live. Hey everyone, I'm Christine, the host and creator of Flourish the Foreign, the podcast that elevates, celebrates, and affirms the voices and stories of Black women living and thriving abroad while exploring living abroad as a pathway to wellness. I am also a business strategist, a business development strategist, and a damn good one, actually. So, and if you guys have been sticking around, you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that last year I launched Build a Business Abroad group coaching, which I love and is coming back. It is a passion of mine. And I really launched that program because a lot of people would ask me, Christine, how do you live abroad and how do you sustain yourself abroad? You got a rich husband? Not yet. Not yet. Working on that. But no, I would tell people what I did, and then they would ask me, well, how would I create a business? How would I go ahead and do that? And that was the impetus of creating that group coaching program. Something that I see a lot in these internet streets are some bogus information about how you can build a business abroad. Specifically, what I'm going to address this go round, we'll see, because I always go over, is we're going to be talking about VAs, what they are, what they're not, how to actually make money and be successful if that's what you want to do. Become a VA, become a service provider in that way to sustain yourself abroad. We're also going to talk about other ways to sustain yourself abroad and kind of the fundamentals of building a business in general that of course translate and make sense and need to be in place if you're going to take your business abroad. That's what we're talking about today. Please let me know where you're tuning in from in the comments below. Ask me any question that comes up in the comments or in the question box. I apologize in advance. There might be some noise. I live in Spain. It's a noisy country, and the windows are open, okay? It's a heat wave. Well, not anymore, thank goodness, but it's still hot. It is summertime. So bear with me. Again, for those of you that just joined, today I'm talking about how to actually make money in a business, in a side hustle to go abroad. Some of the fundamentals that I see people trip over all the time. And the reason why I know this is because I'm a business strategist. Now, I primarily work with women, Black women, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who already are making 5 figures for speaking engagements. And so their opportunities are in national thought leadership and international thought leadership. That's my specialty. That's who I work with on my one-on-one. I do have my Build a Business Abroad program that I work with, first-time entrepreneurs, side hustlers to actually become sustainable. And the interesting thing about doing this kind of work for as long as I have, which has been for 10 years, more than that. How is that possible? But the interesting thing that I have learned is that there's similar, not only mindset, but patterns that actually appear from when you are, a small fry trying to make your first $1,000 to when you are commanding 5 figures to just show up to places. Like, if you want me to talk, it's 5 figures. Like, that's how much it's gonna cost. There's a lot of similarities. And so I'm not gonna say, if you can join Build a Business Abroad, you can have a 6-figure business. No, I'm not gonna say that to you at all because I love you. And also, I don't know if your business is viable. And I don't know if you are really an entrepreneur. That's also a thing, right? This is something that a lot of people don't want to say, I guess, on the internet. But being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. Having your own business is not for everyone. And I always say this. If your vision of a life well lived while living abroad involves being employed by someone, there's no shame in that. And you should do that. Entrepreneurship is not, at least in this day and age, is not an alternative for employment. It isn't. If you want to be employed abroad, I have so many resources to help you get employed abroad. I have a whole episode about it. Actually, I have 2 episodes. I have episode number 9 with Barbara, who's an international talent acquisition specialist. Then I have a whole episode called How to Get a Job Abroad. Plus, on the YouTube channel, I have several videos about that, specifically with ITEA, which is one of the most popular episodes on the YouTube channel, speaking about how she, and her circumstances were so crazy. It's fantastic how she was able to pull a job. Okay? If you're looking to get a job abroad, there's plenty of resources to how to go about and do that. I've done IG lives about how to do it as well. So there's that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you're committed to building your own business and to have that, it's important to understand why and to what goal, to what aim. Are you building a business to solely sustain your lifestyle? So that's it. It just needs to cover your resources. That's the whole point of the business. Are you building a business that's going to be a legacy business? Are you going to be passing it on to someone? Are you building a business to sell? So you're building it up with the idea of obviously it being an asset-rich venture, and really building a brand or acquiring enough assets to make it a desirable acquisition. Those are things to think about. And a lot of people don't, not in these TikTok internet streets. And I think it's really annoying. I think it's really annoying because especially a lot of these TikTokers and things like that are speaking specifically to women entrepreneurs, Black women entrepreneurs, aren't thinking about assets. And I don't like that, because I think it's really presumptuous to think that Black women with all of the education and brilliance in just innovation would not be business owners past like lifestyle business, but like selling businesses, building businesses, acquiring assets, acquiring other businesses. I don't know, that rubs me the wrong way. And I'm gonna write about that. And this is how it is. And so first things first, think about it that way. The second thing, I wrote it down in my little notebook. I'm gonna tell you guys a couple stories of people I've interacted with this year. I have interviewed so many people. I was trying to hire for myself, VAs, an agency. I've done a lot of stuff. Also for my clients, I've interacted with contractors that my clients have hired, and let me tell you, if you're a VA, if you're a contractor in some other kind of specialization, this is what is really important for you to understand, okay? You need to understand your skills and your area of expertise. I know, you're like, Christine, that's not mind-blowing. But you know how many people have approached me unsolicited or solicited through, posting, or maybe even a recommendation from a friend or somebody on Twitter or something like that. The amount of people that have solicited me to do a job for me to pay them, or for a client, and they don't have no skills and no areas of expertise, has been wild. I'm talking like I want to cut to camera and be like, am I getting punked? Like, what's going on? I'm making time out of my day. I work Central European time, so I make it happen because I'm interested in understanding people. I want to have the conversation. Also, because of the type of work that I do, I interview people. And if it's not a great fit for me or another client, I always take notes because it might be a good fit for someone else. That's kind of part of my job, is that I'm a connector of different assets, resources, and people for my clients, right? There are so many people that not only don't understand business, don't understand their skills, don't understand their area of expertise. And that's not to say that they don't have skills or areas of expertise, but they can't articulate it. If you cannot articulate it, how are you supposed to sell it? if you can't articulate it, how are you supposed to sell it? Because coming to me and being like, I'm a VA, hire me. No. It doesn't work like that. So how would you first go about identifying your skills and your area of expertise? This is what I would do. This is what I tell everyone to do. If you listen to the podcast, I say this almost every podcast. I help Black women and women of color leverage their talents and their expertise into a viable, sustainable business. So if you're a VA or if you're thinking about going to consulting, you need to identify your talent and your expertise, the ones that you want to market. So if you have my Build a Business Abroad guide, you know there's a section where I tell you to go through your past CVs, your past resumes, your past LinkedIn iterations, and not only write down like your positions that you've done, but the actual work and to think about that day-to-day of what you did to make things happen. Because as we all know, a lot of people work way outside of their job description. You know, you're an accountant, they have you party planning, but you're the best, and they come to you because you're the best, right? It's important for you to identify those skills. One, because those skills might be the thing that you actually want to leverage. You may not actually want to be an accountant, but you might want to be a party planner. But it might help you niche. You'll be, oh yeah, I was an accountant. I did all this work. I understand the whole, accountant firm party scene. And now I can, online virtually plan these parties for accounting firms, right? Because I have this expertise. I understand accountants. I understand the party planning. I understand what y'all looking for. I understand all these things, all the processes, right? You can leverage these things. And also it helps you to get, some initial target market, survey knowledge, some data by going to your network. You can leverage your network to, one, maybe become potential clients of yours, or for you to do some target market research, right? So the first thing is to know thyself. That's the first thing, is to know thyself. And I'm going to say this particularly for people who are not looking to reinvent the wheel. Now, if you're an accountant and now you want to go into making ice cream, I could still help you, but do you have the skills to make ice cream? I don't know. That's a different conversation, right? Maybe I'll do a different live for that. But I'm talking about people who are saying, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, girl. I'm trying to take all of this delicious experience, regardless if it wasn't great or not, toxic or not. You have this amazing experience. You have this education. You have these skills. You have this point of view. You have your perspective, your way of going and doing and being. That is marketable, that you can sell. That's what I'm talking about. Know thyself first. Why? Because you need to know which of those skills that you can leverage in the first place. You need to know if you have a network that may support you, which is not always necessary, but you need to understand that. Because you may have some skills that can be easily transferable into a different industry or into a different arena, especially if you want to become a VA of some sort, a consultant for some sort. If you have experience being an accountant, perhaps you can be an accountant for other, in other industries. Everyone needs an accountant. But you could really take that expertise and pair it with a passion, perhaps, and cater it to a different industry that may suit your lifestyle better, may suit your heart and your passions better. Know thyself. Know thyself. It's important, right? The other thing about knowing thyself is if you know yourself, then you can more, elegantly and more effectively attract your target market. This is the thing about target markets. Let's just have a breakdown, an interlude, the bridge. The target market is key. Don't let anybody tell you that your skills are for everyone. They're not. You know why? Because some people, the girls that get it, and the girls that don't. That's why you have a target market, okay? There are nail techs who make thousands of dollars a week because the girls that get it, and the girls that don't are like, girl, I paint my own fingernails, right? It's same thing. You need to understand your target market. You must niche. So for those of you that don't know what a target market is, your target market would be the people who you believe are your ideal clients, like the audience, the community of people where you believe your ideal client resides. That's your target market. Having an ideal client is a separate kind of situation. It's a separate avatar. But you're saying a target market is an area, it's a space, it's an audience where most likely your ideal client, the people you'd like to pay you'd like to interact with, and who you'd like to, give your services to, would reside. But it's important to understand who those people are, and they're not everyone. I'm a business strategist. I'm a business strategist that primarily works with, and I say primarily, but almost exclusively for the past 5 years with Black women and women of color. I'm not for, that's not true. It's not necessarily like I'm not for other people. It's that this is my passion. That's my aim. And my passion and my expertise and my background marries nicely with my target audience and then with my ideal client, right? So it's important to know who you're for and who you're not for. It's also really important to know that your target market may not be the most expensive, rich people in the world. Okay, I know, like you be like, all I need is to have everyone who drives a Ferrari, because they can afford my services, to then be my client, and then everything is good. That's one way to think about it. I mean, if your target market is a Ferrari owner, okay, sure. But there's also a level of expectations, and to really, you want to do demos on that audience. You'll learn a lot about expectations, about service, and things like that. So it's important for you to understand who you're talking to, okay? For example, if somebody's trying to pitch me, they're saying, Christine, I want you to hire me. You know what would be interesting for them to know about me, or they'd be curious to know about me? Not just like I'm hiring. The thing is they would, for this to be effective pitch, would be like, well, who is Christine? Who is she? Okay, she's a Black woman in her mid-30s. She lives abroad. She holds 2 degrees. She's bilingual. She's an entrepreneur. She has a podcast. And I know that the problem that she's probably looking for is maybe some support. I see that her podcast has grown a lot. She does a lot. She has a lot of things going on. So maybe some of the issues that she's having are going to be around how to effectively cater to all of these opportunities, how to organize, right? That's how you would start that conversation. But you have to know who I am to then start doing that kind of psychological analysis. And look, I've only done Psych 101 in college, but you have to understand that. You've got to understand who your target market is and what they expect. So if you're catering to me, I'm going to expect you to know a lot about software, at least the software that I utilize. I'm going to also expect that you understand about time management and time zones. Time zones. I'm going to bring that up because I have an anecdote for all of you. That's something I experienced earlier this year. Yeah, time zones. Because you would say, Christine lives in Spain. You could live anywhere. I work with people that live all around the world. But time zones, because you'd be like, well, I know that's how Christine operates. That's how she does her podcast. She's interviewed people from all around the world remotely. So she understands time zones. So for example, I met I was at a women's like brunch here in Valencia, and I was telling the ladies, I think it was like March or February, I was like, oh, I need to find somebody, like this is crazy. And this woman was like, oh, I have a friend, she's gonna be so great. And I was like, send her over here, because I don't know, like, come on, let's go. The woman sends me her friend's information, or maybe I sent it to her and she had her friend reach out. And I was like, great, here's my this is my calendar link, schedule a time for us to chat, okay? In my schedule, I actually have in my schedule when I do like these kind of meet and greet kind of things, I actually have it in my schedule in which I have it like half the day, maybe in the morning or in the evening, to kind of cater to people who might be in Australia or might be in California, right? I try to do that. Sometimes it doesn't work, but that's what it is. First red flag, especially if you want to build a business abroad that's going to require you to understand time zones, is that she did not know how to work my calendar, which is just to click the button and then select the time and put your name in there. And she's like, it's not working. And I was like, while she was saying this to me, I had other people, because, you know, I'm always meeting with people, scheduling on the same link. And I was like, what are you talking about? So that was the one, and I was like, this is not going to go well. Because something's not right. Like, you don't know how to click a link and sign up for the thing. I sent her the link again. She's like, it's not working. And I was like, okay, girl, well, then I guess we ain't going to talk, because this don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. It works. I don't know. Finally, she's like, okay, I got it to work. And I was like, okay. Because there have been like 4 people that already scheduled to meet with me while this is happening. I don't know. Then, the time that we're meant to just have a preliminary chat about like, what do you do? Actually, before that, I was like, send me your website, send me your portfolio, send me your case studies, like tell me who you are. And we're gonna talk about this. She didn't have a website, which I'm like, how are you working abroad? Okay, you don't have a website. We're gonna talk about it. You don't have a website. And she's like, I don't have any case studies, which I think is more like, okay, you don't have case studies, but okay. You don't have a portfolio of what you do. And she sends me her resume with all this other stuff that she's done in her life, which I was like, what does this have to do with me? I don't understand what this means, right? So I was like, oh, I already gave her my calendar link. So I guess let's investigate this a little bit more. Comes to the day of the meeting, okay? Now, with all calendar software nowadays, all the ones I've worked with Calendly, I have one through Dubsado, all of these calendar things. You know what they do? They pick up on your location. So I'll be in Spain, you'll be in California, and they will switch the time. So you only see the time in your location. And also you get a Google Calendar that populates at your time, because your time doesn't have Central European time. Yes. So the day comes, I'm waiting here for my meeting, right? She doesn't show up. And I message her. And I'm like, we have a meeting. No, nothing. So I'm like, okay, I give it 15 minutes, which was very generous. I was like, okay, shut it down. I could have been doing something else. Y'all, an hour later, I get a message from this young lady saying, I can't believe you didn't show up for our meeting. Disregarding my message. I can't believe you didn't show up for our meeting. I've been waiting here for 15 minutes. So she's a whole hour late. Okay. And then she was like, I'm no longer interested in the position. And then she blocks me. And I was like, what? I was like, see, this is why I don't be giving people a chance. But anyway, what did that teach me? And what's it gonna teach you? One, actually know what the hell you're talking about, right? This is the first thing. If you are going to have an online business, if you want to be a VA, all these things, you better know how to work a calendar, and you better know how to Google to figure it out. Unless there's something wrong, so it's a incorrect link. Figure it out. That's kind of the name of the game of entrepreneurship. Like, figure it out. The second thing is if you cannot keep a calendar, like if you cannot keep a meeting, you don't know how to switch your calendar or do all the things that you need to do, why are you trying to cater? Like, am I just supposed to be funding people's lifestyles? Like, what? Just because you want to? Also, it's important to reflect. Now, look, when people are late to meetings, I do get a little like, But there's always usually a fine excuse. People are like, oh, I had to meet, and I'm actually fine. It's just, whatever. But for someone to not even take accountability, like to recognize that they are very much in the wrong. Because I was like, I went back, I looked at my email, I said, no, this is the time that you selected on my calendar, and you coming at me crazy. It's important to, one, be able to take accountability for yourself, but also to if you're gonna burn bridges, know the bridge that you're burning. Because, like, she didn't really know me, and not to say, like, ooh, we worried about Christine, but, like, I help people get employed. Ask about me. I help people, I throw business to people all of the time. It's just part of my personality. I'm a connector, and also it's part of my work. My clients ask me for help. Hey, do you know a book coach or this or that, this agent, whatever? It's just part of like my Rolodex as I'm aging myself. Like, you just know people, and just because I meet someone and they're not a good fit for me doesn't mean I'm like, you're dead to me. No, I remember everyone, actually. I do. And so you could ask so many people. I throw business to them like a year later, and they're like, whoa, so-and-so just emailed me. Thank you so much, Christine, which makes me happy because I like making people happy and, giving people business. That's always nice. But, like, that's who I am. So I say all that to say is, like, be a professional. Just because it's online, just because you're abroad, does not mean you cannot, or you can get away with not being professional. Because let me tell you, both that lady and her friend, I'm like, don't let me see you. I'll be like, because I'm only gonna tell the truth. I'm only gonna tell the truth about it. So don't be coming at me. That's how I feel about it, right? So how do you guys do the exact opposite? If you were actually like, hey, I want to be abroad and I want to be a VA, and I'd like to be a VA for you, Christine. Like, I like your mission. I like what you do. I want to be involved to do, I want to do that. How would you successfully pitch me? I'm glad that you asked. One, because I have lots of thoughts about it. Because I'm a business strategist, I'm actually pretty good at pitching. I get like an 80% response rate when I email people for pitches and these will be cold, not even my email list. I'm not talking about my email list. I'm talking about, I need something. I heard you on NPR. I think you're interesting. Or like, oh, I think, I'm interested in doing that. Or I need help. I get like an 80% response rate, and people are like, yes, or not right now, or you should actually talk to so-and-so. That's a pitch, to get people to respond to you. How do you pitch? How should you pitch me? And why is this important for your business? Because if you're starting off in business, you may not have a client, and you may need to acquire clients. And the way you pitch is how you start that relationship building for clients, okay? So let's talk about it. How do you pitch someone? You need to know this person. I know a lot of people want to do generic pitches, copy and paste. People even do that with me for the podcast, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. Especially the podcast is like, it's a free resource. But it's not free to do. But it's a free resource, okay? So I'm like, I'm not gonna create this amazing content, make you sound amazing, and you're not gonna give me nothing? Like, you don't even know anything about the podcast? Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Let's think about business as relationship building. That's what we wanna do with this pitch. That's how we want to build our business to be sustainable. That's how we build our business, as I said last week, with soft life in mind, is that you focus on relationships. And relationships take time. And you have to understand who you're talking to and why you want to talk to them, besides the fact that you want them to give you some money. You have to do that. So if you are a VA, you're starting out, whatever your business is, it's like you better know the person you're pitching. Meaning you need to know what is interesting about them and why you want to talk to them and the problem that you're solving for them. Even if you don't know completely exactly what the problem is, you need to showcase that you have an expertise where you can start to intuit what the problem would be, and so that you can demonstrate your expertise. Does that make sense? Okay? So let's take this example. This girl did everything wrong. One, understand simple technology. And I'm gonna say simple because get out the game if you don't know how to operate a calendar. Sorry, that's just where we are at right now. Second thing is that I believe that having a website is necessary. There's just part of business that you have to put skin in the game. Now there's plenty, I think, of websites that you can build. I think Wix is one, Squarespace might be another, that you can start and have a website for like a low cost, a monthly cost. But it's important because guess what? People Google you, right? You might be talking to me right now and be like, I'm gonna Google Christine. Go ahead, Google me. ChristineJob.com. Google me, okay? Like, you need to have a place for people to learn more about you. It's important because it's about credibility, but also it's a way for people to self-educate without wasting your time, right? People are not trying to jump on a discovery call. Like, I don't do discovery calls. I'm like discovered through all the resources I have provided, all the places I have spoken, all the things I've done. Discover on my website, right? That's important. So it also says that you take yourself seriously as a professional. And depending on your target market, depending on how much money you're trying to make per client, per product, you're gonna need to have a website. Now there's plenty of people on the internet and TikTok like, you don't need a website, you just need IG, I don't know what they use, or just TikTok. Okay, girl, you got me there. I don't know that business model. I don't know how TikTokers fully make their money. I know that there's a lot of people with a lot of followers that don't make money on all these platforms because they don't own their audience. Part of building an asset is starting to have something that is worth something. So having a website starts to generate views and traffic that you can then monetize. You could do ads, you could do a lot of things. But you start building your own portfolio, another asset within the assets of a business. You see what I'm saying? That's just how I think though. You gotta own your platforms. That's one thing. So you shouldn't have a website, so have a website. Having a case study, I think, is really great, but it's not necessary per se. Having a testimonial is also amazing so people can know who you're talking, like who you worked with. But if you're starting off, you're like, I don't have none of that, Christine. This is a great place to start, right? You have a website and you showcase who you are and what you're about. That's how you start. So for example, when I started this podcast, and I was like, people ask me all the time, like, how'd you get people to record with you? Because when this podcast launched in May 2020, I had like 20 interviews already in the can and them like pouring in. People wanted to do this. And I did not have a single episode launched because I had a website and I had a pitch. And the website and the pitch really were aligned with who I am and my aim and my goal and why I believed this person was important to bring my goal into fruition and how that can be beneficial for both of us. So when you pitch, right, going back to the pitch, is like you have to know the person. So for months, you don't have to do months, but But I did months because I was procrastinating to launch this podcast. I was procrastinating. Like, I followed a lot of these women, and a lot of these women that I initially recorded with did not have large followings. Some of them have huge followings now, not because of Flourish and Form, but they just do now. But a lot of them didn't. A lot of them had like 30 YouTube subscribers, all these things. I would just find them through my research. And I understood them. I understood where they lived. I could understand some of the stuff that they were going through. And so my pitch reflected me knowing who they are, why they would be maybe interested in this podcast, and the offer, right? That's important to know. That is how you build a relationship. And the relationship building is super important in business because I've actually been really fortunate. My business strategy business and Flourish and Forward has merged even before I launched Build a Business Abroad group coaching, because I actually started getting clients from my guests, and I wasn't even pitching them at all. Like, not slick, not subliminal. Just people would be like, so what do you do, Christine? I would tell them, and they'd be like, oh, we need to talk some more. I'm like, okay. And I got clients that way. And the podcast actually still works that way, which is interesting. So I don't really talk that much about business as of late, but it does. It's relationship building. And that relationship that I have put time and energy to cultivate has created clients, but also has also resulted in other business opportunities for me as well. So you see, like, taking the time to pitch and to build that relationship initially for my podcast, which was just a passion project. I was not thinking it was going to be all the stuff that it is now. Has paid dividends, has had multiple harvests. That's what you have to do. Because if this young lady would have pitched me properly, and it was still a no for me, like if I was like, if she was like, I see that you do this and and I don't have any experience, because also she didn't have no experience. So I was like, why did your friend recommend you? Interesting. But if you have any experience, but you know how to sell yourself, which is basically saying, I don't have any experience in being a VA, but I have experience being a office manager, and I do this, and this. Well, some of those skills transfer. I'd be like, okay, girl, you know how to do this, cool. I have experience being an accountant. I can do this, and this kind of bookkeeping. Okay, girl, sure, right? But if she would have pitched me properly, even if it was a no for me personally, I would say, you know what? I got something for you, right? Because I'm talking to women all the time, women business owners all the time, other content creators, huge influencers, small micro influencers, all these other things who are always looking for help, and you can get business that way. So when you think about pitching, when you think about building this business, you have to think about multiple harvests. That's why I think a lot of people aren't successful, is because they're like, I pitched one person and it didn't work out and I don't have any clients, and it's like, you didn't pitch them properly at all. You basically just like copy and paste, and you were just like, give me money. And I'm like, no, it's not how it works. You didn't think about the sustainability of your business, which is so key, because the whole point of building a business to go abroad is to be sustainable. It's about longevity. And I think a lot of people are not thinking about it that way. They're not thinking about it with longevity, which is the opposite of financial wellness. And we're all about financial wellness. We're all about holistic wellness here, professional wellness. So when I say know thyself, that's an important part of business. When I say understand your target market, that's an incredibly important part of business, because those are people you're going to be serving, perhaps. And so you need to understand the relationships that you're going to be building. It's just key. And for some reason, it's just not sexy. And I'm like, but that's where all the money resides. I say this to my clients all the time. Money resides always in relationships and collaborations. I've said this on here and any other platform I've been on, especially for people who want to be content creators. The money resides in collaboration. The consistent money is in relationship building. It just is what it is. It is what it is. And I'm always baffled when I hear people say, this doesn't work and that doesn't work. And I'm just like, because you're basically just expecting money to fall out of the sky instead of showcasing your value to your target market. It's interesting. So ways to understand if your target market is for you, ways to understand if you are doing an adequate job at marketing your target market, is to ask yourself if you actually can address their concerns and you can actually list off their concerns. If you cannot list off the concerns of your target market, that's probably not the people for you. Right? So if you're like, my target market are people who own Ferraris, and I'm like, so what are their problems? And you're like, too much money, and I'm like, is that what their problem is? Right? You need to be able to address their concerns in some aspect of their life, and it needs to be able to ring true, because that's the thing about relationship building, and that's the thing about business, is that you have to develop that trust. You have to be able to be perceived as authentic, and you can relate, so people can say, you can solve my problem because you get me. But if you don't understand your target market, that's not your target market. It isn't, right? So you need to be able to do that, but also it helps with your marketing. So for example, if someone's trying to pitch me, like, you need to be able to speak to maybe my concerns or my problems, having a business and living in Europe. What would those concerns be? Yeah, time. Time is a huge one. How I spend my time, how much time do I work, how late do I work, all these things. So if you are a VA, you would be like, I'm going to solve this time problem for you so that you can operate in a manner that feels like ease, that you can work in a manner that feels like it can be stress-free, or that all of your time is being utilized in the most efficient way possible. But that's something that you would have to understand about your target market. If you don't understand that, why would I say yes to you? Why would I say yes to you? Off vibes? No, we don't get hired on vibes. No, at least you don't sell premium consistently off vibes, and I will stand on that. Also, it's really important for you to be able to state your transformational value, and a lot of people get caught up on that because they're like, I don't know, do I actually transform someone's life? Yes, you do. You transform people's lives. And you need to believe that you do. No matter if you are a VA or if you're an ice cream scooper or whomever. Yeah, you're transforming someone's life. If you smile while you're scooping the ice cream, if you always remember someone's name, if you make people feel great about eating this ice cream, that's transformational. They'd be like, yeah, I want to get some ice cream, but I'm going to go to that ice cream shop because they make me feel great when I'm eating that ice cream. And people may not always articulate it in that way, but that's actually why people buy. That's why people have brand loyalty. So it's important to understand your transformational value, because that also helps you to showcase your expertise as a professional. And so if you're coming to me and you're saying, Christine, I'm gonna charge you premium, which I've had several people try, like, hourly rates are ambitious for what they were marketing. I was like, you want how much money? And you don't even know what you're doing. Interesting. Like, I like the confidence, but no, because like my thing is I never negotiate off price. I really don't, especially with Black women, women of color. I don't negotiate on price. What I do is you tell me how much it costs, and I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna make that investment with you. And my thing is you should really pitch me in a way where I'm like, ooh, I really want that, right? Make it hard for me to tell you no at your price. And a lot of people make it easy to tell you no, or make the client easy to tell them no, or me to tell them no, because they can't articulate their transformational value. And the transformational value should speak to really emotions. Like, what do I want to feel? Yeah, I need a VA, but like, what is it that I'm actually looking for? I'm looking for ease. I'm looking for a sense of control in a crazy world, a sense of things are happening and operating even if I don't touch it, right? That's what you're looking for. That's a transformational value that you can showcase, but also being able to articulate your transformational value also lets you, it opens the door for you to showcase all this other expertise that you may have, even if you are not a VA or a consultant. Maybe this is your first time being a consultant. So you're like, how do I convince people? You convince people on transformational value, right? You convince people on how will your life change? And I understand how you want your life to change. And I'm telling you, I can do it. I'm going to tell you all these different experiences that I've had and all this other expertise that I had that you didn't think was necessary, right? You didn't know would be a benefit for you, but it actually is. It's going to change your life. That's why choose me, not someone who you think has like all the right credentials or all the right experience. But if you can actually market that transformational value, you can get hired above someone who says they have like, oh, I've been in it for 10 years, because people purchase on emotions, even in business. That's what people purchase. People decide to work with people based on personality. A lot of times they're like cultural fit, being like, oh, I like you. I think you can learn. You can probably watch some YouTube videos and stuff like that. Not me personally. Cultural fit is important, but also I need you to know how to do some things. Yeah. But that is how you do it. I hope not only is this helpful, but I think this is a different angle to think about, because it's not some things I'm seeing on the internet. People make entrepreneurship seem easier than it is, but also harder than it is. And it's always like backwards, right? Like, it's not hard to choose a niche that you're comfortable with, that you know, right? Especially if it's your first business. You can go into things that you don't have any idea about and experiment and try and things like that. But for your first business, especially if you're looking for it to be a lifestyle business, go into things that you know and that you can monetize quickly. So that's not actually that hard. But the issue then becomes is you must be able to articulate your value. So yeah, there's 7 billion people in the world, and all you need to get is one yes or and 10 people at 10K and Yeah, like the math is simple, but how do you actually convert that? How do you embody the service provider business person that can not only articulate that, but can actually deliver that? And for a lot of people, that's where they get hemmed up, because a lot of it could be mindset, right? They know they have this expertise, but they don't know how to market it, or they don't feel like they need like a course or something like that. And it's like, girl, you could just sell your expertise. You don't tell me you don't have stuff that you don't have. You are always operating in integrity, but you can sell your expertise right now. But you must understand and you must know thyself. Dang it. You must know thyself. You must know that target market. You must be able to speak to the issues that they have and speak to the transformational value that they're looking for, which is sometimes above and beyond the task at hand. It's aspirational, right? That is how you build a business. That's like a really important foundational part of building a business at home or abroad. You have to understand that concept. If you don't understand that concept, what will happen is that you're going to spin your wheels doing a lot of weird stuff that you don't need to do, right? Maybe you'll feel like, I need to get on TikTok and point at things. That's how you do business. Sure, I'm not a TikTok expert. I'm not a social media expert. I mean, I think y'all understand that. I'm not a social media expert. I'm here to tell you though, you don't need a huge social media presence to make great money and be sustainable. My clients, myself, a lot of people that I know don't, and they're entrepreneurs and they're businesses. They own businesses, so that's not true. But also a lot of people, it's true, a lot of people who have large followings on IG paid for it. I'm not trying to be a hater, but it's true. You know, you look at the engagement, you're like, that doesn't really add up. And the thing is like, you can have a large audience, which is great, but you don't need it to be successful. You don't. You need to have an engaged audience. To have an engaged audience, you need to actually understand your audience and speak to their issues and provide transformational value. That's how you convert. So you don't need a huge audience to do that. And if you have a huge audience that's engaged, then I beg for you to definitely do that. But, you know, just having a large audience doesn't guarantee things. What guarantees conversions and money is being able to articulate your skills and how those skills transform someone's life. That's how you market it. That's how, and it is that simple, but I understand that it's also quite difficult, especially if you haven't done it before, because you have to go against a lot of, I think, the social media entrepreneurship gurus that are just so strange. You know, like, don't sleep and don't do this and if you want it, you gotta kill it. And I'm like, why are we killing things? Why so violent? You don't have to do that at all. You must understand your skills. You must understand your target market. You must understand your transformational value. You have to articulate it. Obviously, you have to be able to deliver. I think that goes without saying, but I'll say it. Deliver and have a good customer experience. But for a lot of you that might be struggling, you have a side hustle, you have something that's going on, and you're like, no one's buying, or no one knows about it. I gotta get on TikTok and start dancing. Again, I'm not a TikTok expert, so maybe go talk to a TikTok expert and see if that helps. I'm a business development strategist, so I think about your business from obviously conversions and sales, because we don't have a business if you don't make money. It's just a hobby. Yes. Okay. But I think about the strategy in a holistic way, not just from product development. But honestly, I mean, I forecast with my clients 3 years down the line about money projections, but also about whatever it is their heart desires, right? Like who do you want to be? And that's why it's so important. I mentioned at the very beginning of this talk was like, the first thing you have to understand if you want to have a business is this a lifestyle business, sustaining your lifestyle? And that's it. That's the whole point. Is this a business that's going to supplement maybe an income? So like a side hustle, okay, cool. You put all that money in retirement or whatever, invest, whatever. Is this a business that's a legacy business that should be passing down? Is this a business that you are building assets and collecting assets, acquiring assets, because you have all intention to sell this business, right? You're looking to be acquired. And that's a different way to think about it. And that's why, I'm a business development strategist, so I think about things differently in that kind of respect. And it's important to think about. You don't necessarily have to have a firm idea, especially if you have maybe a business idea that you're new in, so you actually don't know if it's viable, if you even like it. But it's important to understand that, because if you understand the type of business that you're trying to develop, then viability and sustainability mean different things for all those 3 different types of businesses, right? Like, what is viable and what is sustainable for a lifestyle business that's going to sustain you and your expenses and whatever that needs to happen, and a legacy business and a business that you're looking to get acquired and sell. Like, viability and sustainability are different things, right? Like, we kind of intuitively know like those metrics would be different. So I want you guys to think about it that way. I want you to think about obviously leveraging your beautiful brains, your expertise, your skills, your experience in a completely different way. I want you to really think about it. I want you to not sell yourself short. I want you to really consider what you're looking to do. And something that I tell all my clients, whether they're from Build Business Abroad or my organizational clients, is to really think about what pace of work that you're looking to sustain. What does work look like for you? your business? Is it cyclical? What does it look like? Cyclical meaning like seasonal, or is there certain periods of work and downtime? And what's the timeline for that? I have a client, we just discussed it. Next year, she's like, I'm taking 3 months off. And I'm like, I think you completely should. We can build a business around that. But I think that's also something to think about. I think my biggest problem with what's happening on the internet is that, yeah, they're great sound bites and maybe they're inspirational, but they don't really get down to who you are and what your aspirations are and what lifestyle you want to live. And that's not just like with material things, but the lifestyle you want to live. Do you want to live in Spain and be able to work half a day, or take off the entire month of August, or take off the entire summer, or whatever it is? Like, that's what's important when you're building a business. And I think too many people don't think about that because of toxic American grind culture, and they just think you have to work all the time. That's not necessarily true. It just isn't. Also, okay, I'm gonna stop. But also, that's why it's so important to understand your objectives and your whys, because then you can actually give yourself a nice runway, right? So maybe you don't quit your job. Like, I'm not that person who's like, quit your job and just go at it with a bat and a knife, because everything is violent, and go at it. If you're like, okay, I'm building a business that's going to get acquired, these are the things that I think I need to do. These are some of the markers of a business that gets acquired. This is my 5-year plan. So this is what I'm going to invest in. This is how I'm going to invest in it. Like, that's important to actually know. If you're just looking for a business, which is not, I'm not attacking anyone. If you're looking for a business that's just going to sustain your lifestyle, great. But at some point, you're not going to work anymore, or you can't work. So this is a lifestyle business, but how does it fund your retirement? How does it fund other things to sustain you? How is it a part of your life that is going to aid in your longevity as a person, like as a full person, not just as a productive person producing? You see what I'm saying? I think that is something that's not discussed enough, especially for, I would say, Black women, because we be working. Just working. And I'm like, if we're going to get into entrepreneurship, let's do it with an eye of wellness at the forefront. And let's think about wellness in a holistic manner. And let's actually think about what we truly want, not other people's expectations. You gotta work till you're 65, 75, ain't gonna be no social security, all those other things. Yes. But if we think about our objectives up front, it changes the landscape. It changes how you approach your business. I promise you. I think a lot of people are, also I'll say this, a lot of people are not making money in their business because they're selling themselves short. You're underpricing yourself chronically, crazy. I mean, every client that I have, we always increase the price, and we increase the price multiple times a year. Okay, that's what happens. So it's important for you to think about that. It's important, it's so vitally important to really deeply consider that, because I feel like these are the issues that people don't consider. They don't think it's important. They just think like, I'm just gonna do this and all the money's gonna come. And it's like, you could be exerting amazing amount of effort on some nonsense, like without any direction. And I'm personally all about multiple harvests. When I plant a seed, I want to see multiple harvests from that thing. Okay? I'm going to need to eat off of this for a while. Personally, and that's my business philosophy with all of my clients. We do not do things one or done. If you think I do anything one or done, that means you haven't been paying attention. Because I promise you, I'll be like, oh no, you saw it one time, you're just going to see that about 5 more times. Whether it be content or other things, like, no, because it's about longevity for me as a Black woman. It's about sustainability. I don't live in the US for a reason. So I didn't come to Spain to be like, I'm gonna work. I have my own goals that are really clear, and that got clear by living abroad. I was like, I don't need that, I don't need this, I don't need this. I know what I do need, and that's non-negotiable, yes. And I understand how my business fits into that overall vision. And I see how my business has already created stepping stones for other ventures and other things I want to do professionally, but also, get into the bag. But you have to be strategic about it. I think that's the biggest thing. I've said a lot of biggest things, but there is a lot of things that people are, it's similar to moving abroad. I feel like people don't want to sit in contemplation about who they are and what they need. So you just get really caught up in inspo. You listen to the podcast, thank you very much. You listen to Krishad's podcast, you see the YouTube videos, okay. But it just becomes a blur. You have like things to do, like you gotta go to the embassy, but you haven't actually sat with what is the expectation that I have for this chapter of my life. I'm going to be cultivating a business. I'm going to be moving abroad. What is it that I'm actually expecting and wanting and desiring and requiring? What is my vision of a life well lived? And too many people gloss over that. And I think that's why, they're dissatisfied with their choice of living abroad, or it wasn't what they expected. And look, living abroad is a hassle. It is. And you gotta work it. It's one of those things, like, it works if you work it. Same thing with the business. So again, go into this with some clarity. Know thyself. Know thyself. Be real with yourself. And whatever you decide is fine, but know thyself, because you'll get way better results. You'll get way better satisfaction, right? You feel less confused about all the things you feel like you gotta do. You gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. You'll be much more clear about how you expend your time, your energy, and your resources in building a business. And you will see a faster return on investment. I guarantee it, because making the money isn't the hard thing. I know, people are like, girl, what? And I'm like, it's not making the money. I think what it is getting clarity with how you want to make the money and who you want to get the money from and who's going to give you the money, right? Like, that is usually the thing. But you got to take the time to know yourself, and nobody wants to go into deep contemplation no more. And it's necessary. It's really necessary. I'm going to read some of the comments really quickly. Lori, are you still here? Because y'all know, like, I let it scroll by because I don't have my glasses on. So I have to pause it and, like, look very deeply. Lori says, I think you're talking directly to me. I love you, Lori. Lori lives here in Spain. She's actually a client of mine. Lives in Malaga. She is an incredible author, multiple times over. World-renowned. And she's actually putting on a writing workshop, memoir writing workshop, specifically for people of color, because our stories need to be heard. And you talk about someone who understands their skills and leveraging it and speaking to their target market. Because there's plenty of Black people, plenty of people of color who are like, I got some stories to tell. And everyone generally feels like they have a book, but like you want to, we have our insecurities, whatever. You want to take or have the advice and the guidance of someone who understands not only what you're going through, but is, a world-renowned writer who's going to help you actually craft something that you feel like, this is me, right? That's speaking to a pain point, right? Because you have this amazing story inside of you, but you're like, but I don't want to come out all bobo. I don't know if that's... That's probably Southern to say. I don't want it to come out all janky, right? Lori's fantastic. Also has a great book, Kinky Gazpacho, speaking about her experience living in Spain, studying in Spain, meeting her husband here in Spain. Yeah, really great. Alice Winty, she needs a course in professionalism. A lot of people out in these internet streets need a course in professionalism. It's wild. I mean, if I was not as nice of a person as I am, I would put a lot of these emails that I receive on blast. I'd be like, what are you talking about? What are you saying? Whether it be from someone's PR, publicists being like, I want my person to be on your podcast, and they are not Black, they're not a woman, not living abroad, all these other things. You're like, why? What's happening? Why are you in my inbox? A lot of people lack professionalism, and if they would take the time to get to know the people that they are pitching, even if it wasn't a good fit, we could build a relationship, and I could throw you business, because that's my thing. That's my love language, just throwing people business. Insecurities about language. I had also a great podcast all about learning languages abroad and the insecurities of learning language, so check that one out. I had some scheduled for an interview, and I was excited about it. Then she needed to reschedule, and I told her to pick the time and day, and it was scheduled, but she never showed up or emailed me. Krishan, are you still here? Krishan, you know probably about this too. This is I don't know, we might have to have a podcaster roundtable, because one way to not get booked to get on a show is to be a no-show, or to not reschedule, or make it very difficult, because there's a lot of work that goes into podcasting. That needs to be something people talk about, because people think like, oh, I say this and it goes live, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. Even before I even talk to you, pre-production, girl. And and just tell them no. And if they email you like, oh, no, girl, the time is over. I gotta get on TikTok and start dancing, right, Krishan? Like, no. One, those people are very, they can dance, one. So if you can dance, definitely do that. But like, if it's not in your ministry, you don't have to do that, Savory exposure. Good morning. How are you? Where are you good morning me from? What time is it? It is 7:30 here. So tell me where are you telling me good morning from? Good sir, good ma'am, good, I actually can't see. Good sir, I think. I apologize. I don't have my glasses on. Hello, this is so what I needed to hear this morning. You don't know. Yay! Look, I have to show up more, because I be having thoughts. And I'm like, Christine, don't go in too much on them, only because I'm just like, I love inspo. I love it. I want people to feel good. If you follow my, IG stories, it's all inspo, and I think it's very encouraging, and I believe in all of it. But at some point, we got to get down to the brass tacks. We got to get down to it, which doesn't mean like you have to work so hard. No, we don't do affirmations to make us work harder. Like, I should talk about that. We don't do our affirmations. We don't take care of our mental wellness. We don't take care of our spiritual wellness so that we produce more. No. We do that because it feeds us as people. And as we are well fed, we can then serve from a place of fullness, of completeness. And so the things that we're offering up are that much more rich. We can really be a vessel, right? We can really be, we can show up in our service to other people, but not actually to produce, only for us to just be ourselves, to show up fully in sacred service, not just like business, professional service. That's why we do that, right? Sometimes part of your sacred service, your divine gifts, or whatever you want to call it, does have a professional aspect of it. That's not a bad thing. But we don't do our spiritual work. We don't, I don't do my meditation, do my long walks, a journal, read my books before I even start any part of my day. Sometimes it makes me anxious. I'm like, you've been doing a lot of self-care, girl. You need to get to work. We don't do that so we are more productive. We do it because as we take care of ourselves, we become more fully present to ourselves. We can be more fully present to other people. We can't neglect ourselves and then think that we're going to show up fully for other people. We can't not have boundaries and then be like, I'm going to have boundaries in my business or whatever. Like, it doesn't work. Like, we have to do this. We have to mirror that. And I think especially if you're trying to build a business that has wellness built into its foundation, you have to walk the talk. You just have to. I tell my clients, these are women who command great speaking fees from Amazon and, you know, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. And they go through it, you know, growing pains, organizational shakeups, just life. And I tell them a lot, pull out your journal. I'm giving you a journal prompt. I want you to write on this. If I didn't have the same practice, how could I show for my clients? How would I even have that knowledge that would be the thing to go to do, right? We have to live it. I'm sorry, I'm preaching now. I'm preaching. But I don't want people to get confused, because I'm definitely not part of the Black Twitter, LLC, whatever people who think like, don't like stop slaving for the white man. Slave for yourself. How about we stop slaving? I don't want that. Y'all haven't checked out my last week's IG about how you can build a business and soft life go together, and how it's like soft life is not new. It's definitely not new for Flourish and Foreign. The tagline, you know, living abroad is a pathway to wellness, thriving abroad. Like we've been about this, but it's important that we don't get confused, because I think what's really easy to do is to feel like, okay, wellness is good, but I gotta get to work. It's like, we can be well in work, and we should also strive to kind of reprogram that for us. But I know that personally from my experience when I first moved abroad. Some of you guys know I moved to La Rioja, which is wine region, and I was still burnt out. Drinking wine did not help that. I still had those toxic, thoughts and ways of being. And so drinking wine did not help. So we have to think deeper about our wellness, especially as Black women, people of color. Our wellness has to be substantive, and it must be about unbecoming as much as becoming. It must be rooted in sustainability and longevity. Because, so I wrote something. I gotta finish writing it. If you haven't listened to This American Life, it's a podcast, listen to this week's episode. It is about the 10 victims of the Buffalo Massacre, right, in the United States. And they go deeper in these wonderful people's stories, because their whole premise was that, you know, you just get the age, you get a little bit of details about these people, and then I think 10 days later, Uvalde happened. And so you're like, oh, I don't know. And one of the writers, one of the people who were speaking about this tragedy, spoke about something that I've written about, and I actually can't wait to release it, but I want to talk to you guys about this, is that one of the women that were killed, her family moved from Alabama to Buffalo, New York. And if we know anything about U.S. migration, you know, moving from the South to the North, it's about basically escaping white menace, not to be menaced. And she said something really interesting. She said, Black people deserve to decide their demise. To decide their demise. And that might be really heavy for people to think about. But I think that also goes into why you would want to move abroad with intention, and why you'd want to build a business with intention, because it's about an empowerment of deciding how you will live, and what menace you will suffer, and being able to decide your demise. Now, I live in Europe. There was just a mall shooting in Denmark in May. Was it Denmark? I think it was Denmark. Very unusual, but it does happen. So there's no place on the earth, you know, and we all know that anti-Blackness is global. So, but I think that is such a powerful thing to center these types of conversations, especially about wellness, should be much deeper and richer, because it should be. That's why I always say that moving abroad cannot be about escapism or romanticism. You have to have these hard talks. You have to get real. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. We're all adults. We can handle it. Thank you very much. Krishan, I'm going to email you, Krishan. We've been talking about getting together. We're going to get together. I'm going to email you. Take inspired action. I'm literally watching this in a meditation garden right now. Rest is important. Rest, me and Krishan were talking about this last week. We're new to the nap game, and it's excellent over here. I'm like, I don't know why I resisted this so much. I take 2 naps a day, at least during the week. During the week, about 2 naps a day. And I mean, I'm power napping. I didn't think it was possible. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm power napping. I have these deep 20-minute naps that I'm like, it has to be 4 hours. I feel so refreshed. Just 20 minutes changed my life. Rest. But that's also about like choosing the pace of your life. Choosing the pace of your life. That I leave the United States to then take these toxic entrepreneurship traits to then transplant it here in Spain, where, like, for what? Just to be able to say I'm doing it in Spain? No. It's about thinking and moving differently, but it's deeply rooted in holistic wellness and reimagining what that means, and how can, like, a business is a tool. It's a tool for financial wellness and professional wellness and all these other things. But how can moving abroad be a tool for your holistic wellness? Because moving abroad is not just it's not an event that like magic dust comes down. How can it be a tool? I could talk about this all day, which is why I'm writing all the time. Krishan, we are riddled with no shortage of distractions, keyboard bullies. Oh goodness, girl. Flakers kill me. The second I have to chase you, we're done. Woo! People don't know about this podcasting streets. And then everybody's like, I'm gonna have a podcast too. I'm like, okay, girl. I wish you luck. Good luck. San Diego. Yeah. Okay. But that is all I have to say about that. Building a business abroad it's really key to understand yourself and your objectives. I mean, that's how you can even take score. Honestly, again, as I said, what viability and longevity and sustainability look like for a lifestyle business as opposed to a legacy business, as opposed to a business that you're looking to sell and to get acquired, are going to be different. And so I just want us to think critically about that. And also think critically of how the business is going to be a tool that we're utilizing for our wellness. I think if you think of it that way, you will find not only more clarity and confidence as you navigate these entrepreneurial streets, because with entrepreneurship, like, you don't be knowing things. Like, I feel like all week long, all I do is like, what's this? What's that? How do I figure that out? And I'll say to myself, I'm like, but today I don't want to problem solve. Like, today I don't want to problem solve. But problem solve is the name of the game. So I do it. But it helps you get clear and confident about how you expend your resources, your time, your energy, and what you go after. I think if you have that clarity, the revenue will come. You will have so much more clarity. You'll understand so much more about what you're trying to do, and you'll be able to pivot, because that's also part of business. Pivoting, iterating in your business, it becoming more refined. But you have to have a clear vision of why you're doing this, and making those decisions and moving becomes easier, because you're not just like, well, I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. I'm like, things don't work. Like, I've had plenty of things that do not work. I was like, that didn't work, and that didn't work, and that didn't work. Like, but if you understand what the vision is, then you can say, I can check that off, or I need to maybe reassess it or something like that. Or you can say, okay, that's not going to be part of the plan because it didn't work. Move on. That is all I have to say about that. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to my IG. If you're just catching it, please watch it on replay, because I'm talking all about how to be successful in having a business, building a business, especially if you're gonna start with like a VA or consultancy, how to actually approach it in a way that you will be a business, which means you make money. So, and to build a business with sustainability. That's what this whole talk is about. If you have more questions, I highly recommend you to grab my Build a Business Abroad guide, which you can get at christinejob.com, or you can get it at the Flourish in the Foreign website. Or if you're listening to an episode of the podcast right now, it's actually in the description of each episode. Definitely grab that and stay tuned, because I am opening up my group coaching cohort. I am going to keep it small. I kind of went back and forth about it, but I like being cozy. And I typically work with my clients in my business strategy consultancy. I work with them one-on-one or one-on, the organization. And these women have micro to small businesses, so it's quite an intimate kind of feel. And I just feel like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I like it. I want to be able to talk to more people, because I do want Black women, women of color, to leverage their skills. And that's not lip service. It's not like, no. Take your skills, package them, sell it at a premium. And it actually is that simple. We make it difficult with a lot of mindset things, or with maybe not understanding some fundamental business things. That's where I come into play. But it is a passion of mine. I want to see Black women, women of color, building assets. I want you to leverage your brilliance. If you want to sell to someone, that's fine, but they got to pay a premium. That's my jam. That's what I like to see. That's who I love to work with. So if that feels interesting to you, if that feels good for you, then please join my newsletter. There's going to be more information about the group coaching, and I'm going to be dropping some articles about business, because I want people to really get to know me. I mean, I've written articles about business, which you can find on the internet and on my websites, but I really want you to get to know me as a business strategist. I don't claim to be for everyone, because I'm not for everyone. But it's really important that you understand who I am, my philosophy, and what I bring to the table. Because it is an investment, but it's a great investment, if I do say for myself. And also, I have a testimony to say it's a great investment. But it's important to me. It's important to me that if that's part of the vision of a life well lived, that even if you don't work with me, you're given enough information through some of the resources that I have, through articles and podcasts, that you can make a good selection for whoever you're going to hire or whatever program you're going to join, to really be able to discern someone that's going to be a good investment for you. Because I want you to thrive abroad. That's not lip service. I want you to thrive. I want you to bet on yourself, because at some point in your life, you got to. And this is the time to. I firmly believe that, we're rolling into Q4 of this year soon. Well, in a month or two. But, if you're looking to build a business, and if that's part of that vision, it's time to get started, Anyway, everyone, grab the Build a Business Abroad guide. If you have any questions, you can always slide into my DMs respectfully, because I've already had to block people. I was like, what is this? What's going on? No, don't do that. Also, take a listen to Build a Business Abroad Part 1 and Part 2, those episodes. They're really great. And that's it for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I want all good things for you. Enjoy this weekend, rest. And remember, it is not about moving abroad. No. And it is definitely not about just being abroad for IG, for vibes. No. It's about thriving abroad, right? It's about living a life well lived abroad. It's about being in alignment. It's about being in an environment that nurtures yourself, nurtures your soul, that provides the nourishment for you to cultivate that life, right? That's what it's about. So, go abroad and cultivate a life well lived. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.